we start the chapter كتاب العلم يقول باب من سأل وهو قائم عالما جالسا. The chapter, whoever asks while he is standing, عالما جالسا, he asks عالم, a person of knowledge, while the عالم is sitting. So the questioner is standing and the عالم is sitting, right? That this is okay, this is something that permissible. And why he mentioned this? Because the hadith that we heard previously, that whoever من أحب أن يتمثل له الناس قياما فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Whoever loves for people to stand up for him, then he should wait or prepare a place in the hellfire for himself. So, but then here this can be confused to someone. The alim is sitting and the questioner is standing. Does that mean it's not permissible this way? Say that this is permissible if it happens. It's okay, it's not invalid, as long as the one sitting is not sitting like a king or so and people are standing like servants in front of him, or he loves for people whenever they want to ask him a question, he sits and they stand like obedient slaves to him. Of course, this is not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. But if it happened, right, the alim does not have to get out of his way to stand up for the questioner, so the matter is at ease, basically. That's what he's trying to say. Then the hadith, and inshallah ta'ala, I'll try my best to be brief with the hadith, and this is what the etiquettes of reading from Shaykh Ibrahim Bukhari and the books of hadith. More of the words of the Prophet ﷺ to get this barakah, and less from matters of explanations, unless things need to be clarified. He says, حدثنا عثمان. Uthman is the Sheikh of Imam al-Bukhari, Abi Shaykh, one of the great a'imma of this deen, and he has books of hadith and so on. قال أخبرنا جرير ابن عبد الحميد عن منصور بن المعتمر عن أبي وائل. Abi Wa'il, we saw his name, or we heard his name many times, Sheikh ibn Salama. He was someone that lived at the time of the Prophet ﷺ but didn't see him. He was deprived from this honor to see the Prophet ﷺ, which is worth one's wealth and family, as it's mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So he could not see the Prophet ﷺ, so he's not considered a Sahabi, he's considered a Tabi'i, although he lived at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And he was, the ulama, they praised him so much that Asim al-Majud, he said about him that he never seen him, لم أره يسب إنسانا ولا بهيما. I never seen him saying any bad word to a human being or even an animal. Right? Someone that his tongue was so pure. And this is, of course, the result again of narrating the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. They were not just narrators, they were people that applied the way of the Prophet ﷺ. So he said عن أبي موسى الأشعري, one of the great companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Prophet ﷺ made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him. اللهم اغفر لعبد الله بن قيس ذنبه وأدخله مدخلا كريما يوم القيامة. This is an authentic hadith in Bukhari. When the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, forgive the sin of Abdullah ibn Qais, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, radiallahu anhu, and make him come on the day of judgment, enter an honored admission or so on, which is the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, قال جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. A man came to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال يا رسول الله ما القتال في سبيل الله. The man said, O Messenger of Allah, what is al-qital, fighting for the sake of Allah? فإن أحدنا يقاتل غضبا ويقاتل حمية. Saying that because one of us might fight غضبا, out of anger, ويقاتل حمية, or he fight for his own people, right, for his own tribe, for his nationality, whatever, for blood, for land, and so on. فَرَفَعَ عَلَيْهِ رَأْسَهُ. The Prophet ﷺ raised his head up to him. That's why the hadith is here, right? He raised his head to him. قال, the narrator of the hadith, he said, وَمَا رَفَعَ إِلَيْهِ رَأْسَهُ إِلَّا أَنَّهُ كَانَ قَائِمًا. The Prophet ﷺ did not lift his head up unless the questioner was standing. The Prophet ﷺ was sitting, and the questioner was standing, so the Prophet ﷺ looked up to him. فقال, then the Prophet ﷺ said, من قاتل لتكون كلمة الله هي العليا فهو في سبيل الله عز وجل. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever fights so that the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is superior, then he is fi sabilillah, he is the one that is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you see the question and the answer, and this is one of the perfect ways to answer a question. The Prophet ﷺ did not respond to his question by refuting what he said. He did not say, no, you should not fight as a result of anger. No, you should not fight as a result of your blood and so on. He just made the statement and that's it. Whoever fights, making the definition, whoever fights for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make, what is the fighting for the sake of Allah? To make the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala superior and nothing else. And this is of course, the highest level of matters of Islam, because the person is away from all of these materialistic things that people are attached to, and they give their life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala superior. So again, the point of the hadith is that the questioner was standing and the Prophet ﷺ was sitting, and the Prophet ﷺ, he would hate so much for them to stand and he would sit ﷺ, and he would forbid them from this. So whenever he would enter, they would not stand up for the Prophet ﷺ, although they want to. But because they know that they hate that he hated that so much ﷺ, so they would listen to the Prophet ﷺ and not to stand up for him. So the hadith here is an evidence that this is valid if it happens without any form of evil involved with it. Then he says, باب السؤال والفتية عند رمي الجمار. The chapter of su'al, asking, and al-futya, asking for a fatwa. There is su'al and there is futya. عند رمي الجمار, while throwing the jamarat, and the hadith is repeated here, we mentioned it before, while or by the time or by the place of throwing the jamarat in Hajj. He mentioned here as-su'al wal-futya. There's questioning and there is fatwa. Both are the same thing. The question and asking for fatwa, asking a question or asking for a fatwa, it's the same thing. But when you get into more details, there's differences. A su'al can be for everybody. Like if somebody asks, how many rak'ah for Salatul Isha? Right? Or how to throw the jamarat in Hajj. This is for everybody. This is not for the questioner only. This is for everyone. So this is a question. Right? If anybody heard it, they can apply it to themselves, no problem whatsoever. Fatwa is different. The fatwa is specific to the question. So it is not permissible for a person to hear the fatwa that is given to a person and they will apply it to themselves, because their situation might be different. For example, if a man comes and he asks about his situation with his wife, is that considered talaq or not, divorce or not? And the mufti or the alim or so will ask him questions and so on, and then he will tell him the verdict. Right? A person is sitting there listening, and he might follow everything, the question and the answer and so on, and he might say that his situation is similar if it happens, and then he will apply the same ruling? No. This is not permissible. Right? So the rules that is general for everybody is different than the fatwa. The same thing, people one day take the sayings of some of the people of the ulama relating to another country, for example, right? And they have this printed or on the internet and so on. Sheikh so and so, he said for the people for example, in Egypt, to do this and this and this, right? So they take this fatwa and they say, okay, the people in America should do such and such because he said to the people of Egypt to do such and such. No, there's difference here, right? And the person that is taking this, he should not be himself the alim. He should go back again to the alim and ask him the question that is related to the different situations. Situations are different time changes, all kinds of things. So the fatwa is different, right? But the su'al, the question is usually a general one. So whether it's a question or a fatwa, while throwing the jamarat or at the place of throwing the jamarat, that this is something, it's an act of worship, part of the rituals of Hajj. A person might think, no questions, no talking, nothing whatsoever, just be busy with what you see me doing, as the Prophet ﷺ, he told them, خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ, take from me your manasik. But the Prophet ﷺ answered their questions, because Hajj is not something that people would do every day. And that's why for those who went for Hajj, you see that clearly. You took all the courses and you studied all kinds of things, but once you go there, as if you didn't study anything. And you have to ask about every small and major thing. And you have to have someone with you to guide you through the manasik and so on, because based on khabar kan mu'ayyana. You heard about it, but when you see it, it's totally different. Many things are different. So people always asking, that's why there's always people are being asked and so on. And what's that come from? Come from the Prophet ﷺ. He did that. So it's a good thing, and one of the great thing for a person to do that. The hadith. It says, حدثنا أبو نعيم. نعيم, his name is Al-Fadl ibn Dukayn, also one of the great imam of the hadith. قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن أبي سلمة عن الزهري, Imam al-Zuhri. Sometimes he would say Ibn Shihab, right? And sometimes it's al-Zuhri. عن عيسى بن طلحة عن عبد الله بن عمرو. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As رضي الله عنهما. He's one of the scholars of the Sahaba. قال رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عند الجمرة وهو يسأل. I saw the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم by the Jamrah of maybe Al-Aqaba, it was said, and the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was being asked. وهو يسأل, and he was asked. And this was in the day of the 10th of the Hijjah, where only Jamrat Al-Aqaba is to be thrown, not the three, only one, which is the day of the Eid. So he was standing there عليه الصلاة والسلام, and he was being asked. فقال رجل, a man said, يا رسول الله نحرت قبل أن أرمي. I slaughtered before I threw the Jamrah. قال ارمي ورحمت. The Prophet ﷺ told him, through the Jamrah, no sin on you, no problem, you're fine. La haraj. Haraj is the slightest level of sin or discomfort or anything that is opposite to what is permissible. That means the haraj, that means you're fine, do it, no problem. قال آخر, another man said, يا رسول الله حلقت قبل أن أنحر. I shaved my head before I slaughtered. The Prophet ﷺ told him, انحر ولا حرج. Slaughter and no haraj. No sin on you, you don't have to make fidya, you don't have to make blood, you don't have to do anything. Then he said, فَمَا سُئِلَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ قُدِّمَ وَلَا أُخِّرْ إِلَّا قَالَ افْعَلْ وَلَا حَرَجْ. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As is saying, the Prophet ﷺ on that day, anything that he was asked about, something was made before something else, or something made after something else with regards to the orders or the actions on that day, unless he said, افْعَلْ وَلَا حَرَجْ. Do it, and there is no sin on you, no problem whatsoever. This statement, افْعَلْ وَلَا حَرَجْ, some people, they took it, and they would say it for anything in Hajj. This is of course not permissible. You have to say it and use it in that context only. So somebody didn't throw the Jamarat whatsoever. افْعَلْ وَلَا حَرَجْ, leave the country and وَلَا حَرَجْ. Your plane is on the second day of the Eid al-Tashriq, where at least you have to stay there for 2 days after the 11th and the 12th. The Ta'ajjul, you have to leave on the 12th. But their plane, is on that day. So you don't throw the Jamrah on that day. You would find all kinds of things when people just were so happy with this statement. افعل ولا حرج, do it and no problem. It doesn't work this way, right? This is with the context of how things are, which is the deeds done on the 10th of the Hijjah with regards to the order of it. So there is the throwing of the Jamrah, there is the slaughter, there is the shaving or the shortening, and there is the Tawaf and the Sa'i. 4 things, right? So when people did it not in particular order, the Prophet ﷺ, the way he did it, and this is the most perfect way, is that he threw the Jamrah, then he slaughtered, ﷺ, then he shaved, then he went to Mecca and made Tawaf and Sa'i. And this is where he was asked, ﷺ, because they were following him, and the reason they asked, because they didn't go with the order of the Prophet ﷺ, and he told them, افعل ولا حرج, each one. The point of the hadith is the question why he was in the place of the Jamarat. So this is a good thing, and it's permissible, so that people would get to know their deen, so that they would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala basira, clear vision. Then he says, باب قول الله تعالى وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. The chapter, the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا, that you have not been given from al-ilm, from knowledge, except very little. Right? قليلا, very little. All the ilm, all the knowledge that is present from the time of Adam alayhi salam till the day of judgment, whether it's matters of wahy or materialistic things or anything, it's nothing, it's very small. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-alim, and this was, as the ayah says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They ask you about al-ruh. They asked the Prophet ﷺ, the Jews in Medina, they asked, Prophet ﷺ was passing by, And they said, some of them said, let's ask him about Ar-Ruh. So one said, don't ask him, otherwise he will tell you something that you would hate. Meaning confirming what they have, because the answer was like this is what they have in their books. As some of the ulama they explained, saying that they know that if he answers by something, he would say, Ar-Ruh is such and such, that means this is wrong. There is no knowledge of the human beings with regards to Ar-Ruh. So when they asked the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ was quiet and the wahy came to him. And then the Prophet ﷺ recited the ayah to them. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Ar-Ruh is the spirit, right? The spirit is from the matter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا أُتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And you have not been given from al-ilm, from knowledge, except very little. And this is a debatable issue, and people talked about Ar-Ruh so much, and what's the difference between Ar-Ruh and Nafs? The Ruh is a spirit, right? The Ruh is mentioned in the Quran in different contexts. Isa alayhi salam is called Ruh min Allah, right? And many things. And Jibreel alayhi salam is called Ruh al-Qudus. And تنزل الملائكة والروح, right? In Surah Al-Qadr. So Ruh is Jibreel alayhi salam. But is that what the ayah means? يسألونك عن الروح? Are they asking you about Jibreel or Isa alayhi salam also? This can be valid. But what it's the main or the apparent meaning is the ruh of the human being. Each human being, we have a spirit. That we have it and we don't know the essence of it. And this is such an amazing thing. And that's how the magnificent creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is within our own selves, we cannot even have one straight definition as human beings of what ruh is. Right? You take a breath in and out, you see someone that dies and you see the difference between life and death. Something totally different. Where is that person is? What made him different when he was alive? What is life itself? The definition of life. Is it some, the brain sends some things, as they say, physically? This is the outcome of what they see on their machines, but the essence of it, nobody knows. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ar-Ruh, this is what comes out from the person at the moment of death, and it has certain qualities and so on. So, وَمَا أُتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You are not been given from the ilm, from the knowledge, except something very little. And that's enough for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the unknower. And when people waste their life trying to discover what Ar-Ruh is and so on, what matters is how can we purify it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about our nafs, and the nafs is more general than the ruh, by the way. The nafs is our being, which is everything about our own selves. Ar-Ruh is something physical. Something physical. But we don't even know how it is. Because as the Prophet ﷺ said, when the person dies and his soul comes out, his ruh comes out, al-basar yatba' al-ruh, that his eyesight will follow his soul. He sees his soul when it comes out, when the person dies. And that's why it's to cover his eyes. So, and the hadith of the angels will take the soul and put it in the coffin. If it's from the people of Jannah, then it's a coffin from Jannah. If it's people from the hellfire, then it's in the musuh, or the nasty, the dirty things with the punishment of Allah. So it's a physical thing. Allah knows best how it is. But not physical to the way that we know, but it's something. It's not a word that is meaning metaphorically or something like that. No, it's something that comes out of the body, and the angels, they wrap it in the coffin and so on. And it will be returned to the bodies in the day of resurrection and so on. So the title is وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. That's what matters, is the knowledge that we have is nothing but something little. And that's why the person, the more he would learn, the more he would discover that. And the more the person is ignorant, the more he thinks that he knows so much. That's why the most arrogant ones are the most ignorant ones. And the most humble ones are the most knowledgeable ones. Because the more the person learns, and that's why they say the ilm is 3 ashbab, 3 handspans. The first one is arrogant. If you start studying matters of the deen, the first year, the first month, you think that, I know the statement of opinions and this and that or something, and the person thinks that he's all that. But then he gets and he learns more, and then the last one that he becomes, he will realize that he has no knowledge whatsoever. The more the person learns, the more that he will find himself that his knowledge is so little. And this is, the people of knowledge will know that the most, not the opposite as some people think. He says حدثنا قيس بن حفص قال حدثنا عبد الواحد قال حدثنا الأعمش سليمان بن مهران عن إبراهيم عن علقمة إبراهيم النخعي عن علقمة the student of عبد الله بن مسعود عن عبد الله بن مسعود قال بين أنا أمشي مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في خلب المدينة while I'm walking with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم في خلب المدينة خلب or خراب both are correct. Al-Khalib is the opposite of something that is established. So Al-Khalib is something ruined, something that has been something and then now it's nothing. So something ruined, a place that is buildings ruined or places of people throw things in it and so on. So I was walking with the Prophet ﷺ في خارب المدينة, and the Kharib of Medina, places that are ruined in Medina, not a very good place. وهو يتوكأ على عسيب معه. The Prophet ﷺ يتوكأ, he was leaning on عسيب. Al-Asib is from the palm tree, the stick from the palm tree when they take the leaves of it, it becomes like a very strong stick. So he was using it والسلام, as a stick to lean on it. فمر بنفر من اليهود. And if we talk about the stick and the benefits of it, but we're not talking about the benefits of sticks. It's mentioned in the Quran, Musa alayhi salam, he talked about a stick, right? And there's so much great benefits physically, they used to use it for many things. فمر بنفر من اليهود. So the Prophet ﷺ with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, they passed by Nafar, a group of people from the Jews. فقال بعضهم لبعض. Some said to others among themselves, سألوه عن الروح. Ask him about الروح or the spirit. وقال بعضهم لا تسألوه. Others said, do not ask him. لا يجيء فيه بشيء تكرهونه. Otherwise he might say something in it that you would hate. فقال بعضهم, some of them said, لا نسألن. We will ask him. Definitely we will ask him. فقام رجل منهم فقال. A man stood up among them and he said, يا أبا القاسم ما الروح? Abu Qasim is the kunya of the Prophet ﷺ. And as we heard before, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تكلوا بكنيتي وسموا اسمي, which means do not use my kunya, but you can name your children and so on by my name, but not my kunya. So they said to him, يا أبا القاسم ما الروح? What is الروح? The spirit. فسكت. The Prophet ﷺ was quiet. فقلت, I said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is saying, إنه يوحى إليه. The revelation, the wahy is coming down on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فقمت, so I stood up. فلما انجلى عنه, when he was relieved عليه الصلاة والسلام, because the wahy, the beginning of Sahih Bukhari, when he talked about بدء الوحي, how the wahy comes down on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's a heavy thing. And whoever with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وما أوتوا من العلم إلا قليل. قال الأعمش هكذا في قراءتنا. The A'mash said, this is how it is in our recitation. So there's different recitation, different pronunciation, different things, and it's all mutawatir, by the way. The Qur'an is not, of course, opinions. It's all been recited from the Prophet ﷺ this way, and this is actually even one of the miracles of the Quran. So this is, he wanted to mention here that al-ilm, no matter how much the person learns, he has to have the etiquettes and to humble himself, that he has not much knowledge, that he has always to humble himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, باب من ترك بعض الاختيار مخافة أن يقصر فهم بعض الناس عنه فيقع في أشد منه. This is now it's getting to be more delicate here. It needs the proper understanding of it. It says, whoever leaves, this is the title of the chapter, whoever leaves بعض الاختيار, some of the choices or some of the things that he knows that this is correct. مخافة, out of the fear, أن يقصر فهم بعض الناس, that some of the understanding of some of the people might not get it. فيقع في أشد منه, so they will do what is worse. Meaning, you might know something in the deen, right? But if you say it to people, right, they're not ready yet for it, because they didn't learn the foundation yet. So you would keep it till later, basically, and you teach them what's important first. And this is something that we also mentioned it before. This is in any knowledge. Anybody that learns anything, they have to take the matter step after another. And this is something that we need to learn. Yes, this is usually the people of knowledge, they know that and they study that. But also, us as common people, we need to understand that too, because sometimes you're faced with people that comes and embrace Islam. or someone that wants to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he has no idea about matters of the deen, right? And what should you tell him first, right? Like sometimes, for example, if a person comes and he wants to know about Islam, and he embraces Islam and he said the Shahadateen, right? Should we start telling him that wearing gold is haram for men and this and that, and give him the list of the halal and the haram today? And you have to start that today, everything, so that tomorrow you're like just the best Muslim ever on the face of the earth. And the guy would run away. Why? Because the iman is not settled yet in the heart. So what is the most important thing is matters of tawheed, of course, and to strengthen the iman in the heart. And what does it mean to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah? To teach him how to make salah, right? To take the matter gradually. But if he asks us, then we cannot lie. We cannot hide. There's nothing in the deen to be hidden anyway. Right? And this is something that we have to understand very well. I remember, for example, a person, he embraced Islam. And he said the Shahadateen, but he had so much gold around him. Right? And of course, how we as Muslims, this is the first statement would be said to him. But he asked, immediately after he said the Shahada, he said, is it permissible for me to wear this? Can we then tell him, yeah, it's okay for you, as far as now, just learn? We cannot say that. It's haram, it's lying. This is the deen of Islam. Right? You might, in that situation, wait till you teach him something and then you tell him. In the same setting, at the end, it's leave this and so on. But not immediately before he get to know exactly what his, the Shahadateen means and so on. But if he asks the question, then we have to answer clearly. But then maybe at the end we can say, it won't take you outside the fold of Islam. So that a person, sometimes people, when they embrace Islam, they think that if I commit a sin, that means I'm not a non-Muslim. I'm a non-Muslim immediately. No. There's a Muslim sinner. It doesn't mean that we approve the sin, right? But we have to put things in perspective. Right? It does not take you outside the fold of Islam. And yes, it's definitely good for you. Leave it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it by something better. And nothing from the orders of Allah, unless this is the ultimate goodness. And the issue is if people understand what La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah means, this is willingly submitting oneself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes you might leave something. You are in a group of people, they take one opinion and you don't take that opinion. You don't have to take your opinion, apply it on them. It's not like you're deceiving them. This is the A'imma, they did this. Why? Because to them, this is a valid thing, so that means also it's a valid thing for you. And this is something that needs to be observed as long as it's a valid differences of opinions, not everything, right? Not someone that brings means of deviations or innovations in the deen and so on. This is a different situation. Then he says, حدثنا عبيد الله ابن موسى عن إسرائيل عن أبي إسحاق عن الأسود قال لي ابن الزبير, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he said to him, كانت عائشة تسر إليك كثيرا. He said that Aisha radiallahu anha used to say to you things that we don't hear, تسر إليك, like secrets. فما حدثتك في الكعبة? What did she tell you in the Kaaba? قلت قالت لي, she said to me, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عائشة لولا قومك حديث عهدهم, قال ابن الزبير, بكفر لنقضت الكعبة فجعلت لها بابين, باب يدخل الناس وباب يخرجون, ففعله ابن الزبير. Aisha ibn Zubayr, who is he related to Aisha radiallahu anha? She is his aunt. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, his mother, Abdullah ibn Zubayr's mother is Asma, the sister of Aisha radiallahu anha. So he's a mahram to Aisha radiallahu anha. So she told him in secret this. And he says that, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, O Aisha, if it was for you people still new from kufr, hadith ahdim bi kufr, which means they're just no Muslims now. Kufr is something recent to them, not too far away from them being kuffar. And this is of course of a benefit, as we would hear after the hadith, that when a person left kufr for a while, that means what? That means his iman is being built every day by the good deeds, by matters of belief. So the level of submission definitely is more. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if it wasn't that your people just recently changed from kufr to iman, لَنَقَضْتُ الْكَعْبَ, I would have نَقَضْتُ الْكَعْبَ, destroyed the Kaaba. put down the Kaaba one stone after another. And then he would rebuild it basically. The Prophet ﷺ, he would rebuild the Kaaba, فَجَعَلْتُ لَهَا بَابَيْنِ, and I would make two doors for it. A door that people enters and a door that people leaves. And this is, and Ibn Zubayr, he did that. And this is something in history. First of all, the Kaaba, as we know that Hijr Ismail that we make tawaf around the Kaaba, it's part of the Kaaba. You know, the Kaaba is what is built, and attached to it is this half a circle of Hijr Ismail that some people go pray inside. When they're praying inside the Kaaba. Right? The Kaaba is not the bricks, it's that spot. The qawa'id, or the foundation that Ibrahim ﷺ built the Kaaba on, it's the whole thing. So what is present now is only part of the whole thing. Right? And the rest is with this half a circle. It was like that originally, as Ibrahim ﷺ built it, but at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when they were building the Kaaba, when the Prophet ﷺ was young, before the message came to him and he was helping his people, and the story with the black stone and so on, as you probably know it, they didn't have enough money to build the Kaaba exactly with the foundation of Ibrahim ﷺ. So they built it the way it is as we see it today, and they made this half a circle so that people, when they make tawaf, they don't go inside the Kaaba. That's why if a person makes tawaf and goes inside Hijr Ismail and goes out the other way, his tawaf is not valid. It has to be around the whole thing. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he liberated Mecca, he wanted to build the Kaaba on the foundations of Ibrahim ﷺ to be fully there. But he said it was the reason why he didn't do that ﷺ. He's victorious, right? He has the authority. Nobody can tell him no. People are submitting themselves to the Prophet ﷺ. Nobody will dispute whatsoever. But the Prophet ﷺ chose not to do it. Why? Because people were just, new to Islam. And if they see this, and they would say the Prophet ﷺ is destroying the Kaaba, right? He is changing the way of Ibrahim ﷺ. So this can cause a fitna to them. So the Prophet ﷺ left it, and this is the ikhtiyar, or this is the choice of the Prophet ﷺ, but he left it so that the people would not cause disturbance to them and fitna for them. And this is a wisdom that we also should learn, but we should ask the people of knowledge with this so that we don't compromise anything of the deen of Islam, but this is a great example. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, when he became in charge of Mecca, and there's the fitna that happened between him and Abdul Malik ibn Marwan and so on, he knew this from the Prophet ﷺ, so he thought that the matter now is established for him, it's way after means of kufr, so he built the Kaaba rebuilt it on the foundation of Ibrahim. Then when Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he became in charge, he brought it back to how it was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, right? So then at the time of Imam Malik, for example, rahimahullah, they asked him, the Khalifa asked him, should I rebuild it back on the foundation of Ibrahim ﷺ? He said, do not do it. Otherwise, it's going to be the sunnah of the Khulafa. It's going to be the ways of the Khalifa. If the Khalifa comes, he wants to make a show for himself. Let's build it this way, let's build it this way. Right? The foundation of Ibrahim ﷺ, this is what the Prophet ﷺ wanted. But the Prophet ﷺ kept it. So somebody would say, what was kept at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Prophet ﷺ made tawaf around is better. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for the Prophet ﷺ. And others would say, but this is the wish of the Prophet ﷺ. We should fulfill the wish of the Prophet ﷺ. So both things are valid, but then weighing the benefits and the losses and the fitan and so on. And that's why this is where people, they refer to the people of knowledge. And since then, of course, it stayed this way, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed. And the matter is valid, again, it's in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And of course, great benefits that the ulama, they took from this, so that people do not fall sometimes into what is worse. Right? They might fall into what is worse than the fact that they are having now. It's not a major issue if the Kaaba stays like this, but some people might leave the deen of Islam thinking that this is changing of the deen, or people are innovating in the deen and causes chaos and so on. And there might be many cases that people would face. One of which, for example, just came into my mind without any preparation or thinking of it. The Prophet ﷺ used to pray with his shoes. And he said, صَلُّوا فِي نِعَالِكُمْ. It's authentic hadith. Pray in your shoes. Just like that. Right? And be different than the Jews. Pray in your shoes. And of course, as long as the shoes does not have any najasa in the bottom. If it has dust or mud, this is pure. But as long as it doesn't have impurities, you can check it and you can pray in it. And this is a person can use in the outside if he wants to pray and so on, no problem. But say for example somebody wants to apply this sunnah in the masjid, the carpet is brand new, so if you don't allow me to pray with my shoes in the carpet, you guys are opposing the order of the Prophet ﷺ. That will cause a big problem, fitan, and plus the carpet will smell. So there are other things they used to have in the masjid at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Pebbles, the earth. So the dirt. So the dirt, it cleans itself, right? And it doesn't matter whether they are with their shoes or not. But now this is the reality of the Muslims. So is it what we're doing now is against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? Of course not, right? And this is something that a person might choose not to do, and he should do that, and he remember this hadith, so that at least it doesn't cause at least what is difference among people and so on. Right? Of course, there are many examples in this. So this is a very important benefit, but again, this is not for ourselves to start making these judgments. This is very dangerous, right? Behind it. Again, it's taking people in steps when it comes to matters of knowledge. So we'll have a special session for matters of knowledge that the normal people might not understand. So you don't want to be a fitna for them. And they will get confused. What does that mean? Fitna meaning that they might take a portion of it and apply it, and they would fall into what is evil, because they didn't comprehend it well. Like if, for example, if we sit here and we talk about what negates al-Islam, what makes a Muslim a kafir, for example, right? And it's not explained in the right way. Then the person can take some of this knowledge, or somebody passed by and heard something, and they start making takfir of it. Oh, he's not a Muslim, he's not a Muslim, he did this, he's a kafir. And it becomes a dangerous thing, right? So, but this knowledge is part of the deen. But a person has to be careful when and how it's to be taught, and the criteria of it, and making sure that the matter is explained in the right way. And many things like this. So it's okay to have, it's not like hiding any of the knowledge, but again, what you give to someone that is studying in the high school, it's different than someone is in kindergarten and so on. وقال علي رضي الله عنه, he said, حدثوا الناس بما يعرفون أتحبون أن يكذب الله ورسوله, which means talk to people with what they know. Do you want that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam be said that they are wrong or belied? Do you want people to deny what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said and what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said because they're not used to this? Right? And there are many things like this the person has to be careful. So people would, when they reject the truth, right, the other side will say they rejected the deen of Islam. They have not necessarily rejected the Quran and the Sunnah, they rejected you. Because they think that you're not a person of knowledge, for example, right? And to them you are somebody bringing something new to them. So who are you? When we know that we have these people of knowledge, they tell us something else. So when they tell you no, and I would continue to do this, and you think, oh subhanAllah, they're leaving the Sunnah. I explained to them, I said to them the Hadith, and they're turning away from the Hadith to follow their opinions. Just from a 5 minutes or a 10 minutes conversation like that, people start making decisions, and that means he is a deviant and so on and so forth. A person should take it easy on oneself, and we should follow the people of knowledge. And if you see someone that is doing something wrong and you want to help them, bring the statements of the people of knowledge with the evidence of the Quran and Sunnah, not our own judgments and saying things. And also the other side should be gentle also with those, because they're sincere, they want to do things that are right, but maybe because of the lack of knowledge. So in a gentle way also to show them and to assure them that they love Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so that people don't get the wrong message. So it's good, also it goes both ways. So again, it's permissible to give some people some knowledge because they're very ready for it, and not the rest. يقول حدثنا عبيد الله بن موسى عن معروف بن خضربوث عن أبي الطفيل عن علي بن. He is saying the narration of what's the statement of Ali رضي الله عنه, which is then this statement becomes part of Sahih al-Bukhari, not just part of the title. Then he says, حدثنا إسحاق بن إبراهيم قال حدثنا معاذ بن هشام قال حدثني أبي عن قتادة قال حدثنا أنس بن مالك. That Anas ibn Malik رضي الله عنه said, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ومعاذ رديفه على الرحل. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم and Mu'adh رديفه, meaning riding behind him on the al-rahl, which is basically calling the ba'ir here, it was a himar, a donkey, right? So he was behind him. فقال يا معاذ بن جبل, يا معاذ بن جبل. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, O Mu'adh ibn Jabal. قال لبيك يا رسول الله وسعديك. لبيك, here I am, O Messenger of Allah, وسعديك, which means إسعادا لك, that I want to please you, Prophet of Allah. Tell me so that I please you with my obedience and my submission to what you say. Such a beautiful response. And this is something that ulama, they say from the etiquettes of responding sometimes. If somebody asks you, call your name, tell them labbaik. It's not something that is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. You can say it to a human being. That means, here I am. I'm ready for you to tell me what you want and I will do it. So he said, labbaik ya Rasulullah wa sa'daik. Qala ya Mu'adh. Prophet said, O Mu'adh. Qala labbaik ya Rasulullah wa sa'daik. He repeated the same thing 3 times. It means there's a matter, a very serious one. قال ما من أحد. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, ما من أحد يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله صدقا من قلبه إلا حرمه الله على النار. There is no one, ما من أحد, there is no one يشهد, bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم is the messenger of Allah, صدقا من قلبه, truthfully from his heart, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forbid him from the hellfire. حرمه الله على النار. That means he won't be touched by the hellfire. قال يا رسول الله أفلا أخبر به الناس فيستبشروا. Mu'adh رضي الله عنه, he said, O Messenger of Allah, can I inform people so that they would rejoice, فيستبشروا, with this great news? The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم told him, إذا يتكلوا. إذا, therefore, if you tell them, يتكلوا, they would rely on their understanding. They would rely on this. And then he says, وأخبر بها معاذ عند موته تأثما. Mu'adh رضي الله عنه, he said it while he was dying, تأثما, out of the fear to fall into a sin by concealing something from the truth. So he kept it till he was approaching death. He said this hadith, Mu'adh ibn Jabal رضي الله عنه. What does the hadith mean? The hadith, as it says, like this. Whoever says, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, sidqan, this is the condition. Truthfully from his heart. And he dies in that state, he will be forbidden from the hellfire. If a person says it truthfully from his heart, that means what? That means he will die in the state of complete iman, complete repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he had repented to Allah from all sins. Because this is what the implications of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And that's the meaning of truthfully. Like the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, من سأل الله الشهادة بصدق بلغه الله منازل الشهداء when مات على فراشه. Whoever asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for martyrdom truthfully, he will be in the with the levels of the martyrs even if he died in his bed. But the condition is truthfully. The truthfulness is not something in the heart only, something that would show in one's tongue and actions. So if somebody says, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but then the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to do such and such, and he turns away from it. He's not saying it truthfully because he doesn't understand the meaning of it. Right? Because it means there's no one worthy of worship except Allah. That means you have to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So this is what it means that a person would say truthfully.